whether we're talking about our policies on the death penalty or whether we're talking about the fine for a parking ticket, we're weighing moral considerations when we think about the relationship of the individual to the state and to his own communities. We're taking into account moral considerations. And so you need some moral way of viewing the world. And as that great political philosopher Bob Dylan said, everybody's got to serve somebody. So who are you serving? Are you going to have a godly country or an ungodly country?
Michael, remind us about what is good, what is beautiful, and what is blessed about America. Why is it so special?
Part of it is the idea, and we hear a lot about America as an idea, and there are all sorts of wonderful aspects of America as an idea. America as a country that recognizes that people have certain rights given to them by their creator. A country that recognizes that there is a natural law that is also given to us by our creator. A country with a strong Christian tradition and a tradition of industry that can create material prosperity, but a nation that is perhaps uniquely earnest, sincere, charitable, that has a long history of voluntary civic associations, that has, or at least had, and unfortunately is losing to a great degree, subsidiarity, a lot of local control, pushing power and rights and the ability to govern oneself to the most local level possible, and then only when a local level is insufficient to carry out all of those responsibilities do we go up a little further to the county or to the state or ultimately to the federal government. I mean, it's got such wonderful, so many wonderful ideas there in America.
So is it okay to say that I'm proud to be an American? Is that being filled with unrighteous pride? Or is there a sense in which patriotism should characterize us? Should we put the flag out? I've got a flag on the back of my truck as I'm driving down the road. Is that a sign of healthy thinking? Or is that a bunch of pride that we should get rid of?
It's funny you mention that, Kirk. I have a flag in the back windshield of my car. I'm not quite Southern yet enough to have a giant pickup truck. I moved to Tennessee about a year and a half ago. I'm looking forward to that. Right now, I still have the sedan, but I do fly the flag in the back windshield. And no, that's not an unhealthy pride that goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. When we say I'm proud of my country, we mean that in much the same way as you would say I'm proud of my kid, or I'm proud of my family. Or so. We mean that in the sense that we love it and we're grateful for it. And so understood in that way, pride is not the original sin of man, the queen of all vices, but pride is an extension of the love of one's own kin, the extension of a filial piety that you have for your parents. It's not only natural and to love your country, it's not only acceptable to love your country, it's good. You should love your country. If you don't love your country, something has gone wrong with you or your country or both.
Michael, what's at stake if we lose our patriotism? What could happen to America if we stop loving her?
Well, we will just devour America. We will just consume it all up. We have 2 million people coming into this country illegally, which presents a challenge in and of itself, and it is encouraged for the selfish reasons of politicians and certain corporate interests as well. And that's a great fear. When you view the country as a beautiful thing, a beautiful inheritance from your forefathers to protect and to leave a little better off than you found it, that's a healthy way to view a country. John F. Kennedy said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." When you cease to have that kind of reverence and gratitude for your country, when you simply look at it as a way to enrich yourself, then you will consume it from within. In the case of illegal immigration, it's because Democrats in the country believe that they will get more votes and it will help them at the ballot box. And statistically, I suppose that's probably true. So that's why they encourage the lawlessness of erasing our borders. Unfortunately, corporate interests in the Republican Party haven't been much better here because they recognize that by flooding the country with low-skilled labor, they can reduce labor costs and have a wider labor base, which allows industry to continue continue. And furthermore, when you've got an aging population that has a lot of entitlements that are going to be coming to them, you need to maintain GDP even as the nation's birth rate and marriage rates are declining. So all of that, those are political and economic and business, commercial reasons for which people are not enforcing the rule of law, disrespecting our democracy in this country, the rule of self-government. And that's just one issue among so many. It shows you a pivot in that kind of thinking away from how do I improve my country? How do I leave my children a better country than I found it? To a question of how can my country benefit me right now? Well, that is an attitude of consumption. And eventually, once we've devoured all the wonderful things about this country, then we're just going to start eating ourselves. Perhaps we've already started to do that.
I heard someone say very wisely one time that we ought to have a healthy love for our faith. We have to have a healthy love for our family and a healthy love for our country. And I think, sadly, many people within the family of faith sort of discount that love for country because they think what's really important is my personal relationship with God and my family. The problem, this person pointed out, though, was that if you don't have a love for your country and you don't take care of your country, particularly a country like America that gives you freedom to raise your children and to publicly profess and practice your faith, that kind of government that's running your country will go so rogue that it will take your children away from you, brainwash and indoctrinate them, and put you in prison for your faith. So you better love your country.
Of course.
You better invest in that. It's really, really important.
You have to, because I know sometimes these days it's become fashionable to suggest that Christianity is somehow just a private religion. It's just for what you do in your own home, maybe if you're allowed to go to church on Sunday.
Yeah.
But that is not the case. Christianity is a public and political religion. We are called to go forth and make disciples of the nations. We are called forth toward justice. Our Lord tells us, actually, that when two or more of you are gathered, there I am also, meaning this is a communal sort of church. The mystical body of Christ is communal, obviously. It's not just an individual against the world. And so we do have these obligations to make sure that we have a place that is just and beautiful and thriving. You know, there's nothing Christian about letting cruel people prey on all of the innocent people all around our country and all around the world. We have a responsibility to do that because every government has ultimately a religious way of thinking. All human conflict ultimately is theological.
Great point.
That's what government is. I mean, whether we're talking about our policies on the death penalty or whether we're talking about the fine for a parking ticket, we're weighing moral considerations when we think about the relationship of the individual to the state and to his own communities. We're taking into account moral considerations. And so you need some moral way of viewing the world. And as that great political philosopher Bob Dylan said, everybody's got to serve somebody. So who are you serving? Are you going to have a godly country or an ungodly country? Well, I tell you, even for the agnostics and the atheists out there, you will prefer to live in the godly country than in the ungodly one. In the ungodly country, things get real bad real quick.
That's right. Now, Michael, we have the Declaration of Independence, we have the Bill of Rights, we have the Constitution. So aren't we good? I mean, aren't the American values protected by those things?
Unfortunately, Kirk, those are just pieces of paper with ink on them. So they're really great pieces of paper with ink on them. But those documents and $1.50 will get you a cup of coffee if you don't have a people that's willing to put them into practice. Actually, that's not fair. We have a lot of inflation right now, so you'd probably need about $4.50 to get the cup of coffee. But the point remains. Today, the way that our country functions is different from the way it's supposed to function according to that piece of paper. And there's going to be some divergence over time, but we need to be aware of that. And we need to recognize that as we stop defending and protecting and enacting the vision of government that you see in the Declaration and the Federalist Papers and the Constitution, it's just going to disappear, and no piece of parchment is going to protect it for us.
So, Michael, what are maybe one or two simple things that each of us can do to display healthy patriotism in our communities?
Something that I've noticed really disappear, that was so prominent when I was a kid, it's how I was raised, and these days it's really disappeared, is respect the flag. I know it seems trivial. I know it seems like it should be priority number 300 on the list of things to do, but really it's important because the flag is the symbol of the country. And as you treat that symbol, so too will you treat this country. When I was a kid, if a flag in our home or outside or anywhere touched the ground, my mother said, "You pick up that flag. We cannot let the flag touch the ground." Some years ago on Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign, a staffer took a picture of a crumpled up flag on the ground, and I don't think the person even meant to give offense. She just said, "Okay, getting ready for the rally later, we're going to hang up this flag." The person didn't even realize how disrespectful that was to the symbol of the country, and therefore to the country. If we treat the flag as something worth respecting, we are much more likely to treat the country in that way too. Today, if you went out and burned a rainbow flag, you might very well be arrested. I mean, you would be ostracized. People would be absolutely shocked. If you did the same thing to an American flag, you would probably be applauded. That's a standard that is really radical, that's very new, and we really need to shift that back again. A healthy understanding of standards and taboos, which have been totally upended in the last 50 years. If we can bring those sorts of things back, I think that would do a great deal in our day-to-day lives to restore some patriotism.
Hey, thanks for watching my interview with Michael Knowles. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another episode. And if this video made an impact on you, share it with a friend so others can enjoy it, and then drop a comment so our community can celebrate together.